Alright, so subtracting integers. The first thing that we want to talk about before we ever subtract is how to simplify a problem. We're going to simplify so that there is only one sign in front of each number. Simplify so there is only one plus or minus sign in front of each number. We don't always have to do this step because sometimes there aren't two signs right next to each other. But when there are, we want to simplify. Okay? What I mean by this is if we have plus a negative 5. I have two signs in front of this 5. So hopefully we remember from when we reviewed on Thursday that when you have different signs, it makes a positive or a negative when you have different signs. A negative. So we would rewrite this as just a negative 5 or a minus 5. Negative and minus mean the same thing. Plus and positive mean the same thing. Okay? So again, if the signs are different, it's going to give you a negative. Maybe we have minus a negative 4. Here we have minus and a negative. The signs look the same. They are the same. Two negatives make a positive. So this would be rewritten as just a positive 4 or a plus 4. Means the same thing. Oh, I don't think about absolute value. If we had minus a positive 8, would that give you a negative 8 or a positive 8? The signs are different, so it's going to be a negative 8. And this one hopefully is easy. If you had plus a positive 3, positive 3. So we need to remember, a positive and plus mean the same thing, negative and minus mean the same thing. If you have two signs in front of a number, you should simplify it so you just have one sign. If the signs are different, it's going to be negative. If the signs are the same, it's going to be positive. Okay? So if we do this, then we can follow the same rules that we used on Thursday. So let's do some actual problems. So again, some of them we will not need to simplify on. On this first problem, you're not going to need to simplify. 4 minus 10. This is what I want you to think about. I want you to not even think about minus. I want you to think about, all right, I have a 4, and the sign in front of a number goes with it. So this minus sign is going to go with this 10. Now, is this 4 positive or negative? Positive. So you have a positive 4 and you have a negative 10. So now is when you ask yourself, are the signs the same or different? Different signs. So on Thursday we wrote the rules. If you have different signs, what do? Find the difference in the two absolute values. So the difference in the two absolute values would be 6. And then you take the sign of the higher absolute value. So the higher absolute value was the 10. So it's going to be a negative 6. If you're using these rules, it's going to make you fluent with your adding and subtracting integers, because this always works. All right, how about we have negative 7 minus 4. Negative 7 minus 4. So again, my first integer is a negative 7. Don't think about this being a minus 4. This minus sign goes with that 4. So let's think about it as being a negative 4. Then you ask yourself, are the signs the same or different? Same. When they're the same, you add the absolute values. 7 plus 4 is 11. And you keep the same sign. So negative 11 is your answer. Okay. What if you had 3 minus a negative 8? Now this is one where we have two signs in front of a number. So we said for this is when you want to simplify. We only want one sign in front of each number. So there's nothing in front of the 3. Leave the 3 alone. But minus a negative, what's that going to become? A positive 8. So we have a positive 3. And we have a positive 8. Now this is, you learned how to do 3 plus 8 long time ago, right? Let's not overthink this. 3 plus 8 is a positive 11. Can you put a plus sign in front of it? Do you have to? No. How did I do what? Question? Are you sure? Okay. You probably learned last year to subtract integers, you add the opposite. That was like the rule. I think it makes it so much more confusing, but that's what we did. We take our 3, we add, so that changes to addition, the opposite of negative 8, so it would be 3 plus 8. 3 plus a positive 8. But I think that makes it way harder, and you're not ever going to become really fluent with it because you're going to be doing that in your head. So if we just think about what sign is in front of each integer, positive 3, that becomes a positive 8. It makes it easy then to use our same rules. What if you had negative 2 minus a negative 9? What does this minus a negative 9 become? Good, so my negative 2 stays negative 2, and this minus a negative becomes a plus sign, 9. So I have a negative 2, and I have a positive or a plus 9, however you want to think about it. It's the same thing. Are the signs the same or different? Different, so if you're different, they're going to add or subtract. Subtract. Subtract the absolute values when they're different. Difference. So 9 minus 2 is 7, and you take the sign of the higher number, so it's a positive 7. You all are pretty quiet today. Is this making sense or no? Yes? Let's do a couple more problems then before I give you your paper. For some of the problems, they're going to give you a variable. Like let's say that m equals negative 6. And then they're going to give you a problem like 17 minus m. So we want to replace or substitute, we talked about that word for 2 weeks, substitute the negative 6 in for m. But some people get confused on, well, there's already a negative or minus sign there, so do I need it again? Yes, because 17 minus is staying the same. It's only the m that we're replacing with the negative 6. So that's really what we have, 17 minus a negative 6. I can simplify this because there's two signs right next to each other. These two negatives make a, so 17 plus 6 gives me 23. So make sure when you're doing those problems that you're really just substituting in for the variable. You want to do any more of those so you understand that? I know we've done some of those, right? The definition. I didn't write a definition. Would be if you had some word problems. And this is going to be a change of degrees or a change of distance. Let's say that you went from negative 10 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius. I want to know what is the change of temperature. Think about being at negative 10 and it's going up, right? So it goes negative 10 to 0 and then from 0 to 18. So what is it? 20 28 degrees. That's right, 28 degrees Celsius is the change in temperature. If you're at negative 10 degrees on a thermometer, you have to go to 0 first, so that's 10 up. And then from 0 to 18, that's 18 more up. So 10 and 18 give you the 28. What if you are at negative 20 meters underwater and you go up to our sea level? Maybe we can think about sea level. You're negative 20 meters below sea level, and then you climb up to 30 meters above sea level. What is the difference in meters here? 50. So you go from negative 20 to 0, and then 0 to 30. So that's 50 meters. All right, so you understand how to do those?